As I was saying earlier, Humberto Garcia is a Tejano who, like thousands of Texans, left their home state in the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. It's an incredible diaspora of Tejanos living in South Texas, for many parts of the United States, Midwest, Northwest, but a lot of them end up in California, and specifically the Bay Area, mostly because of their agricultural jobs. I was saying earlier, Humberto is not coming here to work in the fields. He's actually a person that has a lot of skills as a printer. And so when he came to San Jose, he realized that he could survive by basically being a printer. So initially he, devoted his time working for other people, other printers. But little by little, he started building his own, printer, his printer's business in San Jose, in the East Side, by basically making marriage announcements for people, marriage invitations, baptism announcements, and things like that. But eventually, he came up with the idea of coming up with a bi-monthly magazine that would contain practically everything from chismes, gossip, which is something that people wanted, to entertainment, to activities by different groups in the city, social clubs, and so he also tried to invite or encourage companies, Mexicano, or companies that would cater to the Mexicano population. Car sales man would advertise, restaurants, bars, and things like that in his magazine. And he would pepper it with, sometimes reports by local organizations. Sometimes he would invite, writers to write for his columns for his magazine without them being paid. And this writer would basically write on practically everything: politics, issues that they cared about, political positions. Sometimes they would write letters to the editor and concerns they have about problems of racism, discrimination, and so on. The other thing that he would do, and this is a picture of him in the 1960s, not 1970s, 1960s. This is Humberto Garcia, the intellectual, the philosopher, and he's running a business, but he portrays himself as this eccentric man. That's the reason why he's actually called it el excentrico, kind of an odd person. But he's trying to get people to buy his magazine. He knows that people will not buy it unless, they can see themselves in their magazine. So oftentimes, a lot of proud parents would often, buy space in his magazine so that they can show their pride. And this is a picture of little kids being born, twins, who are being born, and here the family is introducing little kids to the world, to society, to the Mexican American community. And obviously for them it was a symbol of status that their babies came out in this Excentrico magazine that everybody reads in the community. And so that's how people keep tabs of each other. The other thing that Excentrico used to feature a lot was this social groups. Sometimes they're organized by age groups, other times by where they come from, and a lot of times they're organized by, the type of experience that they had. And so one of the experiences a lot of these people have is the fact that a lot of the youth in the 1940s and 1950s were former veterans. And so in the 1960s, you have this picture of the American Jive Forum. Again, they want to appear themselves to be as American as possible, and they want to be shown, that these are people who are no longer poor, but people who need to be respected. So here's a picture of an event, maybe a gala dance featuring, the Jive Forum members, and you can see they're dressed in full suits, tuxedos, and so on. And so this is something that they do. The Jive Forum, even though it's a social group, they also organize fundraisers. They often organize festivities to raise money. They have a traditional Queens of the 16th of September or the Cinco de Mayo events, and they do that to raise money for public issues, public events, or to help the community. And so, they're social group, but they also are expressing political opinions, an issue that they think they need to defend, but they also are trying to help out the community. The other thing that El Excentrico has is, a little bit of culture. And so here they're trying to cover an event that is being a play that is being performed at City College on West Side Story, which is actually the story of Puerto Ricans in New York who are living in the ghettos and they're trying to survive. And so, it's a way of getting people to know that there are other people, other Latinos in other parts of the United States that share similar experiences. The other thing that that they have in common is the fact, talking about groups that have a common experience, a lot of these individuals are veterans of World War II and Korean War. And so one of their interests is basically the experiences of Mexican Americans who fought in this war. And they're trying to show their patriotism, the sense of being Americans who did their duty. And so this generation of people that amounts to, some people say 500,000 Mexican Americans who fought and served during World War II. And so the individual who's going to chronicle their experiences in World War II is this former veteran by the name of Raul Morin. The first person to come out with a history of Mexican Americans during World War II in Korea is this former veteran by the name of Raul Morin, who basically was able to write about the experiences of Mexican Americans fighting in every theater of war, from North Africa to the invasion of Italy, all the way to D-Day, and a lot of them actually went to Germany. And then obviously he also writes about the U.S. involvement or the Mexican American involvement in the Pacific. And so, he's capturing the experience of this generation, 1940s to 1960. People are proud of being American citizens, of their patriotism was expressed by the huge number of people, Mexicanos who fought in World War II.